Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is MichelleAna. If you're new to this channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome family. What's up? How are we? Today is Monday. Y'all know Monday like clockwork. It is a new video. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for the love as always on last week's video. The response was absolutely crazy. And as always, we went live on Wednesday night, 9 p.m. EST on loveMichelleAna on Instagram. And the conversation that we had was so good. I enjoy kind of elaborating on videos that come out on Mondays and elaborating on them on the Wednesday night lives, just because it just gives the actual time frame or the moment for us to actually have that conversation. So thank you so much for the love once again. Now, in today's video, we are going to be kind of exploring some mental health topics, right? I am not a mental health professional. I have just experienced a lot of things pertaining to my mental, where I've had to work really hard to renew my mind, right? To put myself in a healthier state of mind as a result of the disappointments and traumas and experiences that life has brought to me, right? And so throughout the years, I have gone to therapy. I have sought out help in different levels, and I feel like it's an ongoing process, right? I think that is very important to take care of your mindset no matter how old you are and no matter how healthy you feel. I think it's very important to always do a little check-in every so often and have those safeguards in place. And so today's video, I'm going to be talking about the infamous verse in the Bible, which I'll let you guys know what that verse is. And if you've never heard this verse before, it is totally okay. I just want to speak a little bit more on the practical side of this verse. So if you're interested in knowing a little bit on how to actually renew your mind, just keep on watching. All right, so before we get further into this video, I don't want to assume that everyone knows what verse I'm talking about. So if you have the YouVersion app in your phone, or if you want to Google it real quick, that's totally fine. I'm going to be reading Romans 12:2, which is where this whole thing is coming from. So it says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." Two words that stick up to me. Well, one of them, actually three things that stick out to me, right? Pattern, transformed, and renewing of your mind. So I'm going to be talking about 5 things and 5 practical ways on how you actually renew your mind. If I add some in between, they're just bonuses, but essentially there are about 5 here. So I'm reading from my, of course, my journal. And so the first one is, faith is a huge part of who I am, right? And I cannot just think about the practical without acknowledging the spiritual aspect of my mental health, right? Of how important that is for me, and me making sure that I am at least centered in a certain way. And so prayer time is the first one. That is how I actually renew my mind, in prayer time. So prayer time can look like an ongoing, routine for you. Maybe 6 o'clock in the morning, maybe 9 o'clock at night, maybe a whisper on your way to work, or a prayer at your desk. I don't want to paint a picture for you as to what it should be or shouldn't be, because I think that prayer time is very sacred. Meditating on the Word of God is very sacred, and it's very unique to you. And so whatever you feel like that time frame is, for me, sometimes they're longer, an extended period of times, like an hour, maybe 2 hours, to be honest with you. But I feel myself, like literally, I feel distant from God when I'm not allowing myself to spend time with him. It's not always an hour or two. Like, let me go ahead and correct that. It's not always like that. But I am when I'm in prayer time and when I'm in the presence of God, I am fully in that moment. I'm fully there trying to just have this conversation with God and also just be in his presence. And so that type of dedicated time is really important for me to actually renew my mind, because I remember who I am in him and how he sees me as his daughter, and how he sees me as his masterpiece, right? As his creation. I'm like, well, you created me, so you've got to know the manual of this, right? So, you know, also just giving thanks for being able to see another moment, right? Being able to even be in his presence, right? And I'm going to mention a little bit on the Thanksgiving part in my next one, which is number 2, changing your attitude to one that focuses on gratitude and not lack. I think that when we're renewing our minds, or when we're lacking renewing our minds, we tend to think about the things that we don't have, right? So it's really hard to think about how to renew our minds when our focus and our attention is what is not available to us, what is not happening in our lives, what the negative things that are coming, right? And not even in our lives, we're talking about mental, right? So like our mental health, our thoughts, like, are we thinking about mainly the negative, or are we actually trying to make room for gratitude to fill our hearts to a certain extent, where we're at least being gracious and grateful for what we do have? So that's something that I have found that has worked for me in a practical way to renew my mind. The more that I think about the gratitude that I have toward at least the things that I do have, it takes away the focus on all that I don't have. A third way that I renew my mind is music. But yes, I listen to all types of music. All of it. I'm talking about all of it, right? So, but really I'm speaking on instrumental, right? So if you go on like on YouTube, or even now on Spotify, and you type in like instrumental, oh my gosh, y'all, like so many different types of playlists will pop up. So for example, on YouTube, I will search for soaking instrumental, right? Soaking time is really just that quiet time that you are literally just spending with you and God. And sometimes we don't want words bothering us. We don't want words, anything trying to distract us from what the moment has for us, right? So for me, instrumental music with no words really does kind of like help me focus on what's on my mind. What do I actually have to renew? What do I have to take away from my thoughts and put in? So what is the exchange that is happening here? I can't do that if all I hear is noise. I can't do that. And maybe, honestly, maybe the absence of music actually will help you. But for me, having that like setting that atmosphere and really recognizing like, God, I need to exchange this thought for what you have for me, right? And even in the natural, like if you're someone who, for example, is trying to lose weight, but you're constantly focusing like, oh my God, I got this chicha over here, or like this roll over here, and like this and that. Like, you know what though? My jaw is coming through though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I look a little snatched. And so focusing on that, like exchanging that is so important. And obviously we're talking about mentality, right? Your mental health. And so it's important to exchange those thoughts for ones that are more positive. So for me, I would say that creating that atmosphere of just peacefulness, oh my gosh, will change everything. Okay, now number 4, learning you. This has been one of my favorite ones when it comes down to renewing my mind, because not only am I renewing my mind, I'm actually getting to know my mind. I'm getting to know my mind for who I am. I'm getting to know what I say to myself. Like, what are the thoughts that I have for me? You know, because the thoughts that I have for me don't even compare with the thoughts that God has for me. So if I just let go, right? If I start learning me and what are the things that I'm telling myself, and I start learning about who I actually am, things I enjoy, things I don't enjoy, my own solitude versus isolation, that's a huge one. And I can actually do a whole video on that, because there is a difference between solitude and isolation, a huge difference. And I think that alone time is important, but when you start isolating yourself, nah sis, y'all gotta go out and y'all gotta, you know, get to know you and learn about you amongst social atmospheres. So anyway, that's a tangent, but you know, what I wrote here was getting to know who you are and all of who you are. And another thing I wrote that was so important to actually recognize was what happens is trauma does change us, y'all. Like, trauma changes us, and sometimes we're stuck on who we were before the trauma, and after the trauma we don't get to know who we are. So whatever trauma you went through, it changed you, and you will never be who you were. And I think that sometimes we need to have a moment to grieve that, because we're not the same person. And so sometimes we have to literally sit with ourselves and date ourselves, especially as singles. Date ourselves, and even when you're married, get to know you for you. Like, just get to know you for you. But it's really important to recognize that trauma does change you. And so because trauma does change us, we now have to get to know the new us, right? And really renew our thoughts concerning ourselves. And the last one is to be kind to yourself. Literally be kind to yourself. What is the language that you're speaking? What are you saying about yourself? Are you receiving compliments? Are you complimenting yourself? I know that on my, I think it was on a live that I did a while ago, and on Instagram, if you don't follow me, it's loveMichelleAna on Instagram, and I showed you guys my daily affirmations. I don't know if you guys can see it on here, but pretty much I wrote it in a note, and I screenshotted the note, and I put the note as my background. And pretty much I'll share a few. I put on there, my relationships are whole, my heart is whole, my finances are whole, my emotions are whole, my mind is whole. And so that's just a few, but you can literally write your own affirmations and have a time frame where you repeat and you recite those to yourself with confidence too, like with heart, not just like reciting it just to recite it, but really believing that my heart is full and whole. My mind is whole. My emotions are whole. Everything is whole, literally, because God makes me whole, right? And so being kind to yourself isn't just a corny, like, affirmations are not corny. That's why I'm like, it's so important for you to recognize the language that you're speaking over yourself. Those types of things matter when it comes to renewing your mind, because what's happening here is a reflection of what's going on inside. And so if you can match those two, y'all, the renewing of the mind will literally be an easier process for you, one that is easier to manage. I know that sometimes life can get hard, and y'all, especially like if you're a female, when you get on your period, you got a whole attitude, like you gotta really be nice to yourself, right? And so those times you just have to have safeguards, right? Have safeguards for those moments where you know it's about to be a trigger, or even if you don't know, have a safeguard for anticipated situations where you're able to be like, all right, how am I gonna come back from that type of comment? Or how am I gonna come back from that type of thoughts that I had about myself? I really hope you guys enjoyed this video on how to practically renew your mind on a daily basis. And if you've never done any of these before, let me know if you're gonna implement any of these. And if you have your own set of things that you do to kind of really check yourself and check your mind and your thoughts and your mentality and your mental health, please leave them in the comment section below, because I think that we can all learn from each other when it comes down to this mental health thing. Like, I want us all to win in mindset, in mentality, and all the things that we speak over us, and that's really important for me to see you guys winning as well. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up, make sure that you're subscribed, and also live on Wednesday night at 9 p.m. EST, loveMichelleAna. I cannot wait to have this conversation. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.